Alright guys, how's it going? And welcome back to the second instalment of Lower League Talk. Coming up on today's show, we'll be taking a look back at the opening weekend of fixtures from the 2014-2015 Football League season. We'll also be looking at the Championship, League 1 and League 2, and we'll also be taking a look back at the Capital One Cup results and also the draw for the next round, and also be taking a look towards next week's games in the Football League. Before we get started, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that showed any sort of support for the first episode that we put out last week. It was really humbling to see that so many of you actually liked it, put your thoughts towards it, and actually viewed the whole thing. It was really good to see. It won't be as edited this week because that video that you seen last week, the 15-minute one, took around 2.5 hours to edit. And although it wasn't like, anything spectacular, it just takes a lot of time to edit it, get all the timings right, etc. So this week, I'm just going to mainly focus on the talking, go a little bit more hopefully in depth. We've got a bit of a longer show this week because we've got the Capital One Cup to look at as well. And I've also got fixtures and a few more talking points to go over as well. So thank you for that. Let's crack on with the start of the show. And this week, the Football League is back. Yes, that's right. Blackburn versus Cardiff kicked us off this week with a 1-1 draw. I'm trying to remember back now because it is Thursday of the week after that I'm recording this. Wasn't the best game, wasn't the worst game. No team wanted to lose the game, I don't think. I mean, the way that Cardiff set out, they went with 3 up front, so obviously they sort of went for it, but it was sort of like no team wanted to lose when it got to a certain point because, a draw for Cardiff and Blackburn, 2 teams that I think will be up there at the end of the season, isn't the worst result in the world. They'll probably be happy. None of them picked up a loss. Get all the cobwebs out from pre-season. It was a bold selection from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He went with 3 up front. I'm trying to think who had it up front now. I think it might have been Maynard, 1 wing. I might be wrong with that. It might be Makeda. Kenwyne Jones at front, sort of on his own, and Adam Lafondra on the right wing. Now that was a selection that actually baffled me, and I think it baffled quite a few people. When you typed in Adam Lafondra's name on Twitter, all the searches came up with, why is he being played out on the right hand side? He's a prolific goal scorer, especially at this level. And he's been put out on the wing, which obviously he can't do a lot of damage from. He's the one that wants to be on the end of the crosses from the right winger, not putting the balls in. Kenwyne Jones did score for Cardiff from a set play, which you'd expect him to do. He's a big lad. But maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he might have been better off going. I know he didn't lose, so it's hard to criticise him, but maybe he would have been better off. I don't think Makeda actually, or whoever it was, it might have been Maynard. The other one they played on the left wing didn't really seem to get involved for me. When I watched it, a bit of the game. He didn't really seem to do a lot. So maybe he might have been better off going with Lafondra and Jones at front and getting the service to them. You've got the big and sort of little up front. You've got Kenwyne Jones, big strong lad who can hold the ball up, and has also got, like we've seen, a finish on him. And you've got Adam Lafondra, who's just a fox in the box, one of the most prolific goal scorers outside of the Football League. And you're playing him on the right wing, which I'm not sure if he was happy with. But that's the way it was. It was a 1-1 draw. Tom Cairney was the scorer for Blackburn. I think they actually dominated sort of possession. If I'm right, I think it was around 60% possession. I think, which is good. As a standard away performance from Cardiff. Away teams aren't really expected to go and dominate, but Blackburn, they're keeping possession, just not being able to do a lot with it. So that was the Friday night. Results from the Saturday, I'll get onto in a minute. But talking of Cardiff, Gary Medel has signed for Inter Milan for £10 million, which happened just before the game on Saturday, I think. So they've made a £3 million loss on him. They'd only actually brought him last summer for £13 million, and already he's gone out for £10 million to Inter Milan. As you can see at the World Cup, he had a really solid World Cup. He played in centre-back, I think, with 2 other people, and put in a really good display. So, I think Inter Milan have got a great player on their hands. A lot was made of his disciplinary record before he came over here from Spain. I don't even think he got booked in the end in the Premier League, and he actually, he looked a really solid player. So, good signing for Inter Milan. Shame he couldn't Cardiff can get him to stay, but I think a player of that quality is always going to be hard to keep hold of when you get relegated. So let's round up some of the scores, and then we'll take a closer look at a few points that I've got written down. So it's Brentford 1, Charlton 1, Brighton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Derby 1, Rotherham 0, Huddersfield 0, Bournemouth 4, Middlesbrough 2, Birmingham City 0, Millwall 2, Leeds 0, Nottingham Forest 2, Blackpool 0, Watford 3, Bolton 0, Wigan 2, Reading 2, Ipswich 2, Fulham 1. So we will start off with, again, the way we started off last week, Blackpool. Now, Blackpool only had 9 players registered on the morning of the game. They had players there, they signed quite a few players the week before, which asked the question, why weren't they registered sooner? The manager had to put, I think he said, 3 or 4 academy players on the bench that had never played a game before, and he's having to, panic on the day of the start of the season to even get a squad together. Still, even though they've got enough players now, it just really does seem insane to me. I had a Blackpool fan in my chat earlier while I was streaming. He sent me a report, of what he thinks is going on there, just summing up the situation for me. I've not had a chance to read it yet before this. Maybe I should have read that before, but I'll copy and paste it onto a Google Doc and post it in the description. I'll see what he's got to say first, and if it is worthwhile reading, I'm not sure how long it is, I'll put it on a Google Doc and you can go and have a look for yourself, so you can get the ins and outs maybe. So look out for that in the description if it does make it in there. Another talking point that I wanted to bring up was Leeds United picked up a 2-0 loss on the first game of the season. It's been a weird summer at Leeds because they brought in, I can't remember his name, is it Hackaday? That might be wrong. I can't remember his name. Let me find out his name. But they brought in the manager of Forest Green Rovers. It was a really, really weird decision to bring him in. It's Hockaday. That's who it was. It was a really strange decision to bring him in because the difference between non-league and the Championship is a massive, massive jump. Apparently the story went that he got a phone call from an Italian man. Wasn't sure he was, just picked up the phone and asked if he wanted to have a chat about becoming his first team coach. So he went, he said they spoke for around 5 hours or so. At the end of it, the chairman, I can't remember his name. I'm sure you'll put it in the comments. I'll look afterwards. Basically said that, I like you. Will you be my first team coach? And obviously, someone's just offered you the job at Leeds. You're not going to say no to that. So here he is, Hockaday. Apparently he's quite a good coach, but he's not got any managerial experience at this level. A really, really strange decision. And now they've picked up a loss the first game of the season, and the chairman, in previous clubs that he's been at, has been, really short-tempered when it comes to managers. I think I've seen he was at a club for 3 years. It was something silly, and he got rid of 13 managers. So, that begs the question, is he under pressure now? Is he, it's a strange one because all these foreign owners keep coming over. They're looking to change names, they're looking to change colours. They're not sticking by managers. It's a really hard one because they don't seem to have any sentiment, I guess is the word. They just don't seem to care for tradition or seem to put any thought into some of the stuff they're doing. I know it's good from a business point of view, some of the stuff that's gone on, but you've got to think that the business is the fans. They are the ones pouring the money in, and if they're not going to like it, I mean, we'll come on to Coventry a little bit later on. That's a prime example of owners screwing things up. But it just seems a really bizarre situation at Leeds at the minute. Leeds never used to be really a club that you'd associate controversy with, apart from the financial problems they had there. Actually, I'm going to retract that statement. They are a club that you'd associate controversy with. But they're still a massive club for that level. They still get good crowds every week. Still got good players there. And when you go to the ground, it just reeks history. There's just it's a really good feeling around the club there when you go. It's a really nice ground to go to, even if it is looking maybe a bit dated now. Could do with, I don't know, maybe redevelopment or something. But who knows? Only time will tell. It's not a good way to start the season by picking up a loss against Middlesbrough. Definitely could have gone a bit better for him. So now, where are we at now? Leeds, Fulham, newly relegated to the Championship, lost their first game 2-1 to Ipswich. If anyone's seen it, you would have seen, It's a strange one because they didn't look, like they probably could have won it. There was a few chances where the keeper maybe made a few errors from Ipswich's point of view, but really they didn't really look like they were going to win the game. One promising thing was the youngster, I think it's Connor Roberts, his name is, who came on. I think he created the goal. I might be wrong, but he looked really, really lively, really creative. And looked like he's got a lot of quality about him. I think he won the under 19s European Championships with England. So he's already got a fairly decent trophy under his belt for 19. I'm sure they'll struggle to hold on to him if he carries on performing like he did when he came on the other night. So that begs the question, will they struggle this year? Or do you think it was just a one-off? Let me know in the comments below what you think. And it'll be interesting to hear all of your views. Also, talking about Fulham, Stecklenburg, I can't remember his first name, balls, has joined AS Monaco on loan for the season. Obviously didn't fancy it in the Football League, and yeah, he's gone out on loan to Monaco for the season. So, let's take a look at some of the results from the Championship a little bit more. Outstanding performances / results. I've got down here Bournemouth beating Huddersfield at home 4-0, which resulted in Mark Robins, the Huddersfield manager, being dismissed after only one game of the season. I don't know what you make of that, but to me that seems absolutely outrageous. One game into the season and you're sacking your manager. I mean, yeah, I don't know really what's gone on there. I don't think he had the best of seasons last year. But then why give him all that time over the summer to bring in his own players, his own staff, get the team playing the way that he wants, to then sack him, and then you've got to bring someone else in. You're back to square one again. Why not just if you're not happy with him, get rid of him at the end of last season, get a new manager in, let him bed his own tactics in, his own players, own staff over the summer, so he's got 6 weeks there to do it. Now he's going to be inheriting whoever it is they choose to hire. He's going to be inheriting a squad that isn't his, tactics that they're not going to be used to playing. So, it's a big job there for someone to go and do. Don't get me wrong, Huddersfield are a great club. One that I think people look at. A few years ago, they're in, I think, League 2 with us. We were in the playoffs with them about 10 years ago. Might have been 10 years ago exactly. And now in the Championship, there's real potential there, I think. They've got a great stadium. They've got some really good players there. There's great potential for a promotion push. But unfortunately, things just haven't worked out for Mark Robins. He got the boot after one game. Congratulations to Bournemouth, though, with a 4-0 win. Callum Wilson, the new signing from Coventry, signing off with 2 goals on his debut. Could have got a hat-trick if it wasn't for a save from the penalty spot. So he was really unlucky there. Sheffield Wednesday actually picked up a 1-0 win over Brighton. Brighton, who have been up there the last few seasons, pushing the playoffs, pushing for promotion. And Sheffield Wednesday really last year struggled a little bit. I think I had them down as one of the teams that I thought would struggle this year. Now I've got Stuart Gray in charge. I know a bit about Stuart Gray. He was at Northampton for a while. I think he was at Wolves as well before he came to us. Southampton too, maybe. And he turned their season around last year, and they've got off to a cracking start this season with a 1-0 win away from home as well. I know Brighton, obviously new to their stadium, only a couple of years, I think. It's not an easy place to go to, and they've ended up picking up a very, very good 1-0 win. So congratulations to Sheffield Wednesday. See if they can keep that up for the rest of the season. Also got Watford down here as well, with a 3-0 win against Bolton at home. You know, it's a home game. They would have expected to win, but, you know, to score 3 goals on the opening day of the season, I'm sure would have delighted their manager. And also to keep a clean sheet too. We've got Troy Deeney and Vidra up front. Vidra a few years ago was at Watford and he caused absolute havoc in the Championship. You got Deeney there as well now, who's been consistently getting, you know, 15 goals, I think, for the last few seasons. Them two up front, I think Watford could be in for a really good season this year. I think they'll be pushing the playoffs, if not automatic promotion. So all the best to them. On to League One now. Let's take a look at that. So results from this week: you got Sheffield United 1, Bristol City 2, which was the early game from League One. Barnsley 0, Crawley 1, Bradford 3, Coventry 2, Colchester 2, Oldham 2, Fleetwood 2, Crewe 1, Leyton Orient 1, Chesterfield 2, MK Dons 4, Gillingham 2, Port Vale 1, Walsall 1, Preston 1, Notts County 1, Rochdale 0, Peterborough 1, Swindon 3, Scunthorpe 2, and Yeovil 0, Doncaster 3. So again, some really good results there actually. I was going to say that Doncaster picking up a good 3-0 win away at Yeovil. These two were two sides that came down last year from the Championship. So, you know, maybe you would have expected them to be going at it, you know, for promotion this year. You would have expected it to be a bit tighter, I think, than what it was. But in the end, Doncaster running out 3-0 winners, which, you know, must be a bit concerning for Yeovil because, like I say, they'd expect to be up there at the end of the season after just being relegated, and that, you know, they've just crumbled on the first game of the season, which I'm sure they'll be a bit disappointed with. Chesterfield picking up a win at Leyton Orient on the opening day of the season. Newly promoted Chesterfield against Leyton Orient, who lost out in the playoffs last year. You know, again, a really good result for Chesterfield. I think I said Leyton Orient would be up there at the end of the season. I still think they will be. They've been, you know, building the last few years. Got a good squad there now. Pretty good manager under Russell Slade. You know, Chesterfield newly promoted. Were they newly promoted or did they go up? I'm mind blank. Did Chesterfield go up last year? I can't remember. I'll have a look afterwards. But, you know, still a fantastic result for Chesterfield on the opening day of the season. You know, Leyton Orient really didn't lose many games last year, and it's, you know, it's a great result for them to go and get away from home on the opening day. Bristol City pick up a good win at Sheffield United. Again, two teams that I said would be up there come the end of the season. A really close game, but, you know, Bristol City with a fantastic win away on the opening day. To set them in good stead for the season, so that will give them a lot of confidence. Sheffield United probably one of the hardest places to go to this season. Bramall Lane's going to, you know, have capacity crowds, and, you know, they're not going to make it easy for teams to go there. So Bristol City fans, I'm sure, would be over the moon to pick up a win there. If there are any other results that you want to let me know about, then feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to take a look at them as well. We'll take a look at next week's fixtures in League One. We've also got some Tuesday night games as well. You got Bristol City versus Colchester, Chesterfield versus Rochdale, Coventry versus Sheffield United, Crawley versus Swindon, Crewe versus Barnsley, Doncaster versus Port Vale, Gillingham versus Yeovil, Notts County versus Fleetwood, Oldham versus Leyton Orient, Peterborough versus MK Dons, Scunthorpe versus Preston, and Walsall versus Bradford. We'll be reviewing them next week, so be sure to tune back in for them. So that brings us on to League 2. If we go through some of the results from last week, you got Accrington 0, Southend 1, Wimbledon 2, Shrewsbury 2, Bury 0, Cheltenham 1, Cambridge 1, Plymouth 0, Carlisle 0, Luton 1, Dagenham and Redbridge 0, Morecambe 3, Exeter 1, Portsmouth 1, Newport 0, Wickham 2, Northampton 1, Mansfield 0, Oxford 0, Burton 1, Stevenage 1, Hartlepool 0, and Tranmere 1, York 1. So what I've got for this is the two newly promoted sides, Cambridge and Luton, picking up wins back in the Football League. So I'm sure they'd be absolutely ecstatic with that. Not easy games for either of them too. Cambridge played Plymouth, who, you know, another side that I thought, well, I still do think, will be pushing playoffs at the end of the season. So, a fantastic result for them to pick up on the opening day. We'll see how far momentum can take them, because it's been proved in the past that, momentum is a great thing when it comes to football. Newly promoted sides, if they can get a good run to going at the start of the season, they'll carry that momentum over. With a few signings as well, to add a bit of quality. Who knows where they could be at the end of the season. Luton made the long old trip up to Carlisle and picked up a 1-0 win. So I'm sure their fans that travelled, I'm not sure how many travelled. It's a long way to go, but I'm sure they'll be ecstatic, making all that, the trip worthwhile. So, what else have we got here? We've got Cheltenham with a shock win at Bury. Bury have strengthened really well this summer, bringing in, I can't remember the exact number of players, but it's a lot of players they brought in. Spent a bit of money again, as they did last season. And yeah, Cheltenham, who I think they were just below mid-table last year, picking up a really, really promising result there. 1-0 away from home again, to set them, on the way for the season. So really good win there. Morecambe beat Dagenham and Redbridge 3-0 away from home. Dagenham for me is a bit of a concerning one. I mean, they did score 6 in midweek against Brentford, but I'm not sure what side Brentford had out. I went to Dagenham last year, and judging by that, they really weren't that good, which picking up a 3-0 defeat to Morecambe, who were sort of mid-table last year, I think, will be concerning them a little bit. So, fixtures for this coming Saturday. We've got Burton versus Dagenham, Cheltenham versus Accrington, Hartlepool versus Bury, Luton versus Wimbledon, Mansfield versus Oxford, Morecambe versus Newport, Plymouth versus Exeter, Portsmouth versus Cambridge, Shrewsbury versus Tranmere, Southend versus Stevenage, Wycombe versus Carlisle, and York versus Northampton. Also this week we had the Capital One Cup, which I briefly mentioned. Some really big upsets in that, actually. I'm just looking for it now. I actually don't have anything wrote down for it, so I'm just going to go with the flow. It kicked off with Carlisle versus Derby. That was live on Sky Sports this week. It's 2-0 to Derby. I've seen a bit of it. I don't think actually Carlisle, in the last 20 minutes that I watched maybe, actually created a chance. So it seemed like a pretty routine win for Derby there. If we just go through the results, I'll go through them all. So Barnsley 0, Crewe 2. So that's a good result for Crewe. League below Barnsley. That's promising for them. Birmingham 3, Cambridge 1, which I believe went to extra time. So, Cambridge picking up that 1-0 win against Plymouth, and then going to extra time against Championship side Burnley. I'm sure it will give them a lot of confidence for the season. Blackburn lost 1-0 at home to Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe newly promoted to League 1 there, so a good result for them. Brighton 2, Cheltenham 0. Standard win for Brighton, I'm guessing. Bristol City losing 2-1 to Oxford. Good win for Oxford, a team that last season started really well and then faded out towards the end. But they've just got a new manager in. I think they've signed a few new players, so I'm sure they'll be fine this year. I'm going to go, I think Oxford will probably finish top 10. Big win for Burton at home, knocking out Wigan 2-1. Good result for them. Charlton with a comfortable 4-0 victory over Colchester. Chesterfield 3, Huddersfield 5, Crawley 1, Ipswich 0, so a good result there for Crawley, knocking out Ipswich, a Championship club, 1-0 at home. Dagenham 6, Brentford 6. This game, my word, just goal after goal. Dagenham don't seem to know when they're beaten, in the Cup especially, but eventually they did lose on penalties, which was a bit of a shame. It finished 4-2 on penalties, so that was a bit of a shame for them. Exeter 0, Bournemouth 2, Leeds 2, Accrington 1. If Leeds would have lost that game, there would have been uproar, and I think Hockaday might have been in a little bit of trouble if they lost to Accrington at home. But in the end, they came through, winning 2-1. Luton 1, Swindon 2, Millwall 1, Wycombe 0, MK Dons 3, Wimbledon 1. That's a big game for anyone that knows the sort of history behind that rivalry. Will know that Wimbledon fans still aren't happy with the fact that MK Dons have still got the Dons part in their name. So that's always a really big rivalry. So yeah, it was a big game, as it always is. I think Wimbledon fans actually stormed the pitch at the end when they scored, which it's not nice to see, but they've got a lot of frustration built up inside them, but it's not what you want to see really. Morecambe 0, Bradford 1, Oldham 0, Middlesbrough 3, Plymouth 3, Leyton Orient 3. Good game there. Leyton Orient actually won 6-5 on penalties, so that's One for the fans, definitely. Port Vale 6, Hartlepool 2. I actually didn't know that result happened until just now. That's mental. Yeah, what a game. So you're a bit annoyed if you're a Hartlepool fan travelling all that way, but credit to Port Vale knocking them for 6. Portsmouth 1, Peterborough 0. Good result there for Portsmouth, knocking out Peterborough, who have got a little bit of money to spend with the sale of Britt Assombalonga. They'd be looking to challenge in League One, and I'd expect Portsmouth to be putting up a bit of a fight in League 2 as well. We've got Rochdale 0, Preston 2, Rotherham 1, Fleetwood 0, Sheffield Wednesday 3, Notts County 0, Shrewsbury 1, Blackpool 0. So again, Blackpool, controversy there. What is going on at Blackpool? Honestly, losing to Shrewsbury, no disrespect to Shrewsbury, but Blackpool should be beating them really, even with the players they've brought in. I don't know if they've just not clicked yet or what, but it's really worrying times for Blackpool. I really do feel for their fans, because it seems that their owners actually just stuck them up really, or stitched them up. Isn't really doing what's best for the club and just doing what's best for himself, it's a bit of a shame really. Southend 1, Walsall 2, Stevenage 0, Watford 1, Tranmere 0, Nottingham Forest 1, Wolves 2, Northampton 3. Actually went to that game. Absolutely crazy. I won't lie to you, I didn't expect us to get anything from this game. First half, Wolves could have been 3-0 up. They had 3 goals disallowed in the space of around 5 or 10 minutes, I think. So I had the ball in the net 3 times. And then half-time, you sort of think, wow, we've got to half-time here. We might be a bit lucky to get here, but here we are at half-time, still 0-0 in the game, creating a few chances, which was nice to see. We come out in the second half, I think it gets to about 65 minutes. We make a change, and within 2 minutes of coming on, Lawson Diath picks up the first goal. He actually could have had one, a minute before. The first time he got the ball, he could have scored if he had a shot, but he chose to put it back across goal for some reason. From that, Wolves looked rattled a little bit, and they went 2-0 down shortly after from a set piece from Ivan Toney, the youngster, 18 years of age. Scored three goals in 2 games, or 2 and 3 at the end of last season, including an overhead kick against Dagenham. Reported bids from Bournemouth there of around £500,000, but we're not in any rush to sell, and why would we be? We've got the ball in our court with him. He's a Northampton born and bred lad. Said that he loves playing for us. It's an honour to him, so really he's not looking to move at the minute. He even said that. He said he's happy here, he's just ignoring speculation and getting on with his football for the club. When they went 2-0 down, they brought on some big players. They brought on Sacco and Nua Dicko. Them two were combining straight away, and they got 2 goals back. One from Dicko and one from Sam Ricketts. But then again, Lawson Diath on his debut pops up with another goal. It was a really, really strange header actually. He's gone to head it down, which he admitted afterwards, and it's looped over the keeper and gone in. I picked up before the game started, when the keepers were warming up, how small the Wolves goalkeeper was. I'm not sure who he was. I'd never heard of him before, but he was really, really small. And I said it to one of my mates, and after the game he said to me, you actually said he's really small, but I didn't expect him to get lobbed like that. It was just ridiculous. If you can find it online somewhere, go and have a look, because it looked really funny. He's gone to head it down, just looped over the keeper and gone in. We did really well to close out the game. In previous years, definitely we would have absolutely collapsed under that. But we do look a lot better and a lot stronger mentally this year under Chris Wilder. So we'll see how we get on in the league. Yeovil 1, Gillingham 2. York 0, Doncaster 1, Bolton 3, Bury 2, and Reading 3, Newport 1. That was it for the Tuesday night. Last night, actually, on Wednesday, it was Coventry 1, Cardiff 2, and Sheffield United 2, Mansfield 1. So we can now have a look at the draw for the next round. Man United actually come in this round, so everyone was sort of looking out for them. We'll find out who they got in a minute. So you've got Aston Villa versus Leyton Orient, Birmingham versus Sunderland, Bournemouth versus Northampton, Brentford versus Fulham, Burnley versus Sheffield Wednesday, Burton versus QPR, Crewe versus Bolton, Derby versus Charlton, Gillingham versus Newcastle, Huddersfield versus Nottingham Forest, Leicester versus Shrewsbury, Middlesbrough versus Preston, Millwall versus Southampton, Norwich versus Crawley, Port Vale versus Cardiff, Scunthorpe versus Reading, Stoke versus Portsmouth, Swansea will play Rotherham at home, Swindon entertain Brighton. Walsall versus Crystal Palace. Watford versus Doncaster. Oxford will travel to West Brom. West Ham will play Sheffield United. And MK Dons got a home tie against Manchester United, which I'm sure will be televised because it's on a little bit later. It's on at 8 o'clock. That's been confirmed. Also, another big tie from the second round will be Bradford versus Leeds, which I'm sure will be a feisty game. So I think that actually wraps it up pretty much this week. I think there's some breaking news tonight actually from League One, which I'll cover quickly. Coventry City have rumoured, or apparently have paid their debts that they owe, and apparently could move in very soon back to the Rico, which would be fantastic for all involved with Coventry. If you don't know, they're currently ground sharing at Northampton. They've actually just paid for half of our pitch to be relayed. They paid half of it. We spent a fair bit of money on it. It looks absolutely, it looks really good now, like Championship standard, maybe even pushing Premier League. So they paid for that, and now it looks like they're heading back off. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Don't really know the ins and outs, but I sort of know roughly what's going on. It's a shame that the fans haven't actually gone into the ground to back the players, to give them a little bit more money. All they do is pay the rent and then they keep the rest, which is why they've come here, because for whatever reasons they couldn't stay at the Rico. The only other option they had was to go and play at Nuneaton, which is obviously a bit closer, but the facilities there wouldn't have been as good as they are at Northampton. So that's why they came here. They get to keep a bit of money, which obviously is going to benefit them off the pitch. But they've saved up a bit of money now, and they've paid off their debt. So really, it seems to have worked. So all the best to Coventry as they hopefully head back home to the Rico Arena. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for this episode. It was a bit longer. Sorry if it was a little bit, if it bored you a little bit. But I enjoyed it. I really like covering this. This is something I'm passionate about. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you've got any comments or anything that you'd like to see on the show, then let us know down in the comments below, and we'll try and cover it. So thank you for watching, guys, and we'll be back next week. Peace.